Hello everyone, Chaos here, and welcome to another old-school RuneScape video. Today, my revamped 1-99 woodcutting guide. Woodcutting serves one simple function. Chop trees. No, really, that's it. Or it was, until Jagex added Forestry to the game, a more engaging way to gain experience. Other than this, woodcutting will be the primary source of wood for other skills. A lot of people hate on mining, agility, and runecrafting because of how slow it is, but even after forestry, woodcutting is not that much better. We have a few training methods to speed it up, but don't expect a lot of money out of this gathering skill. If this video is useful on your way to skill mastery, remember to subscribe with notifications on, drop a fat like, and you could even become a channel member with a join button below for tons of extra perks on the channel and in the Discord. These are all the quests that provide woodcutting experience as of the time of making this video. Remember that some of them have a woodcutting level requirement and you may not be able to do them right away. This one is a little unique in a way that we want to speed things up via questing, but sadly we don't have much to play with. Other than one early game quest, it's just better to bite the bullet and train this skill as intended all the way through. Just like crafting, woodcutting can't be done without questing whatsoever, as almost all useful trees are in unrestricted areas. However, we do have a few quests that will help opening up the training methods and areas for more variety. The first one is Bone Voyage. I've mentioned this quest in other guides, and this time it is to chop Sulliusceps at Fossil Island. It is literally the only dangerous way to train the skill, and experience per hour will be fairly attractive. Another training method locked behind the quest is chopping Blisterwood. To access it, you need to have completed Sins of the Father, and I would put this one low on the priority list since the method is not great, but you could always give it a go. One way to obtain the woodcutting outfit called Lumberjack is through a minigame called the Temple Trekking. To access it, you need Priest in Peril to go to Mauritania, and then you need to complete in 8 of the Myarchy quest, and then to make it slightly better, you can include Darkness of Hallowvale. After completion of Song of the Elves, the Crystal City of Priffinus will be open to you. This is the best place to cut Teak Trees not only because of their proximity, but because you will passively earn crystal shards on your way to 99 woodcutting. And finally, because this is not really a quest, I recommend 75% Hosadia's Favor. After you reach level 60 woodcutting, you will have access to the Woodcutting Guild in Zeah, which is home to another training method we will talk about later. We move on to useful items, and just like mining, you literally cannot train the woodcutting skill without a hatchet or an axe. Make sure to use the highest one available to you, and you don't even have to wear them to start the chopping trees. The Infernal Axe is obtained by combining a Dragon Axe with a Smoldering Stone, and when woodcutting, it has a 33% chance of igniting the log you chop, granting fire-making experience in the process, and it's also great because you can AFK for longer. The Crystal Axe is obtained by combining a Dragon Axe with a Crystal Tool Seed. This is 4.5% more effective than a Dragon Axe and will provide a slightly more experience per hour. Remember, you need crystal shards to charge it, which makes it a little bit expensive. The Lumberjack outfit will go perfectly with your axe, and you may obtain this from either Temple Trekking or the recently released Forestry. It will boost up your experience gain by 2.5%, and if you want to get it quickly, do it via Temple Trekking. Last on the list, we have all important items from Forestry, but I will get to these during a dedicated segment of the guide. If you need more context on these, stick around to learn all about this new addition to the game and all relevant tools. Woodcutting is the final skill of the series where I will recommend to use the Idle Notifier plugin. A lot of this skill will be AFK, so it's always nice to have a little reminder or notification when your character stops chopping. You can also activate the plugin simply called Woodcutting. It will provide helpful visual aid when training the skill, and it has a new segment where it will help you with forestry related events, so keep it active at all times. Alright, before we start with the viable methods, I want to take a few minutes to talk about forestry. 2 quick things about it. 1. This segment will be a summary of the whole update as I have already made a video on it, and we will learn about the most important components. If you have any further questions,
I recommend watching someone like Chaos.
Thank you, Tasty. And 2, there's more forestry content coming soon, but for any updates and what to do, check the pinned comment below. If you remember woodcutting prior to this update, it was better to train alone because the more people on a tree, the more chances for it to deplete. With this update, the trees now have a set timer before disappearing, and you can get an invisible level boost depending on the number of people cutting the same tree up to a cap of 10. And finally, when woodcutting, there's a chance for an event to spawn. What are these? Well, let's take a look at another important component first. Talk to the Freaky Forester either in Draenor or Seer's Village and buy a forestry kit. This is where you will store items related to the update and where you can take them out from. The most important one is the quote-unquote forestry currency called Anima Infused Bark. And this is where the events come into play. A forestry event will randomly spawn every now and then, and the more people at a woodcutting spot, the more often it will happen. These are like minigames that will give you both a more experience per hour if you do it correctly, and of course anima-infused bark, which you can use at the Freaky Forester shop. Again, to give you a quick summary of the events, here they are from best to worst. Tree Roots is the best one because it is incredibly simple for the amount of anima bark it yields and of course the low attention needed. Roots will start emerging from the ground, and it is best to chop the ones with green spots on them for the best result. They will hide underground and reappear a few times, so do this until they disappear for good. If you chop other roots, don't worry, you will still get some extra experience and anima-infused bark, but not as much as the first one. Next we have the flowers. When the event triggers, flowers will start spawning all around the area, and you need to find a pair in order to help the bees pollinate them. Click on all the flowers until you can find one that you can interact with, and for your character to touch it. Find another one you can interact with, and once you've found a pair, click back and forth until they disappear. It is easier to see which flowers people are clicking on, so don't waste as much time. The next and the seemingly most complicated one is called Struggling Sapling. When this happens, a tree will turn into a little sapling, and different things will spawn around it. Not to make the segment super long because, well, it's the longest explanation in my forestry video, find a combination of items to bring the nurture percentage to 100%. Other people will call out the combination based on the first letter of the items you need. For a better explanation, go watch the full forestry video. The very last event is the most useless of them, and it is the leprechaun. Why is it the worst? Well, because when it spawns, all it does is just stay there for a while, and you can use them to deposit your logs. It essentially takes away the chance at an event to spawn that will give you both a bark and more experience, so if you see it, make sure to complain in the chat. To close out the forestry segment, these events cannot spawn at the Woodcutting Guild. Also, you can make items that will increase the chance to spawn a specific event, and you can create them by buying components at the forestry shop and combining them with other materials. Put them in your backpack and they will be consumed when their respective event spawns. Now that you know the basics of forestry, let's go on with the video. We are going to start with a quest called The Monk's Friend. Teleport to Castle Wars with your minigames teleport, and head south of Arty to do the quest that will literally take less than 10 minutes and get us from levels 1 to 13. Doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, it kind of is. From 13 to 15 we are going to cut regular trees. These are simply labeled as the trees in the game, and are normally smaller in size. These are the only ones that will disappear after you chop one log from them, so 2 levels is all you need here. My final intermission is to mention something relatively important. I will tell you to cut the trees at the level for which you unlock them, but just like fishing, if you think you are chopping them at a slower pace, get between 2 and 5 more levels to speed up the process. This is not as bad now because of the invisible level boost from group Woodcutting, but the higher the level you are, the better. From 15 to 30 we are going to cut oak trees. There's one east of Drainer Bank and the 2 trees both east and west of a rock. They are near a bank in case you want to keep your logs, or you can simply bring a tinderbox to burn all of them for fire making experience to double dip on your effort. From 30 to 50 we are sticking to Drainer Village, and I would say there's no better place to cut willow trees than this. If you want slightly more quiet place, you can go to the Barbarian Outpost or west of Lumbridge, but for more forestry events, this is definitely it. You will get a ton of experience and anima-infused bark from them at a relatively low level. At level 50 you may cut Teak Trees, and this is going to be our first endgame method because these are so fast to chop. Like I said at the beginning, I recommend doing this at Priffinus or even Apatol, for which you will need Monkey Madness 1, and ideally the second quest as well. This is the method I use from 70 all the way to Skill Mastery, and just make sure to drop all your logs since you are pretty far away from the bank. The next endgame method is available to us at level 65, and by going to Fossil Island you can start chopping Sulliusceps. This is the only dangerous way to train the skill, but it's really not that bad if you're not a scaler. The setup for this one is slightly more specific, so copy as much of the gear as you see on screen, and you can do it the following. Go to Fossil Island and interact with this mushroom, which will launch you deep into the swamp, and next to the first Sulliusceps. Be advised that you will take an obscene amount of damage from the first bounce, so bring a lot of food. Once you land, head to the first mushroom and start chopping. You are seeing a little map of the rotation once the first mushroom depletes. So, when that one is done, simply go to the next one. We are bringing a rake because there are obstacles on your way to the mushrooms, along with the swamp monsters that can damage you a little bit, and also come on your screen. I really just said that out loud, didn't I? Anyway, you are going to do this for 6 mushrooms, and once you deplete the final one near the start, interact with the mushroom again and repeat the process until you need to resupply. Keep in mind that the pattern is always the same, and if you do this activity in a world where other players are training here, you can simply follow your own pattern because everyone has their own mushrooms. The last endgame method is not as complicated, and we are now going to the Woodcutting Guild, where we will be chopping redwoods, one of the most AFK activities in the game. You will need a woodcutting level of 90 to cut them, and once you start, you can stop paying attention for upwards of 5 minutes, since the new timer also applies to redwoods. Not a lot to mention about this one, so do this until level 99 for the least amount of effort and needed for a 99 in old school RuneScape. And speaking of AFK, another low effort activity is the Blisterwood Tree located in Darkmere, which you can start cutting at level 62. The only thing you need to know about it is that your character will randomly stop cutting it, so this is what idle notifier is for. Not a lot to mention about this one, so simply drop your logs and when you have a full inventory. Thanks to Forestry, chopping use is actually decent for experience, although profit-wise it's just much better to drop all logs unless a leprechaun spawns. My favorite location is south of Sears Village, and thanks to the invisible level boost, this is not a bad idea at level 70 woodcutting, but remember that if you feel like it's a little too slow, get a few extra levels. And finally, you can even try cutting magic trees starting at level 85. You may find good training spots south of Sears Village and Hosidius, inside the Myths Guild, and in Perfinis near the beginning of the agility course. I personally don't recommend this because it may still be pretty slow, so you're better off doing Teaks, Yews, or just wait until 90 for Redwoods. When it comes to the roadmap, we don't have a lot of options for the skill because there aren't many options. I will show you how to reach level 99 quickly, AFK, and with a little bit of profit, even though I don't recommend woodcutting for money making. This skill sucks so much that I recommend leveling up this way. Trees, oak trees, willow trees, and finally, teak trees. That's it. Teak trees will offer superior experience even without tick manipulation, so stick to these to get this ridiculously boring skill over with quickly. You could also try Sulliusceps for a more engaging method, but it's completely up to you. If you have more patience than me though, you can AFK starting at level 62 with Blisterwood Trees, and then stick to redwoods from 90 all the way to 99. That's it. There's nothing else to AFK the skill with. It sucks. It really sucks. Now, if you're dirt poor and you want to scavenge every possible item to get the bank going, bank all your logs as you move on to use after teaks, and top that off with magic trees from 85 to 99. Even with the forestry boosts, it will still be quite painful, so use this as a last resort if you are really desperate for money. Boys and girls, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and for making it this far. If you did, let me know how you would get level 99 woodcutting, or if you already have it. A massive thank you to all my channel members. You boys and girls are absolutely insane, and my starving family and I appreciate the support a whole ton. If you would like to become part of this list of legends, click the join button below, and so you can see all the cool perks you can get for your monetary pledge in the videos, in the live streams, and of course in the Discord. Stay tuned for the next video, and of course for the next 1 to 99 guide, where I will show you how to achieve mastery in the thieving skill. Have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you then. Peace. Ignore the puppy. Thank you.